Good evening. Pressure is growing on the leader of Birmingham City Council, John Clancy, to resign over his handling of the bins dispute. Some of those calls for him to go have come from his own Labour councillors. A meeting of those councillors is about to start at the Council House, which is where we can join Andy Bevan for an update. And Andy, will he stay or will he go?
Well, Sam, tonight I think he will stay, and that's despite a motion of no confidence being tabled by two backbench Labour councillors calling for him to go, and a letter written by another Labour councillor also calling for him to go. Now, the motion was submitted too late to be put onto tonight's agenda, so that won't be considered tonight. That'll have to be considered at the next meeting, which is next week. That said, feelings inside that building are running extremely high ever since the deal that Unite said was reached at ACAS a fortnight ago, promising no redundancies and pausing the industrial action, was declared to be non-existent by John Clancy on Friday. Now, Unite were furious at that and said that they were going to take the council to the High Court to sue them over the redundancies unless the council gave them all the documentation and the communication relating to the dispute by 2 o'clock today. Well, that was 4 hours ago.
Well, there's been no answer from the council. This hasn't been unusual in respect of this industrial relation. The council sometimes is in talks with us and sometimes goes completely dark, which I think is a completely disgraceful act whenever you think that the residents of Birmingham are waiting to hear from them. But there's been no answer from the council, and as a consequence, court papers will be filed.
So it doesn't look good. And Andy, the fact that the latest calls for Mr Clancy to go have come from within his own party doesn't bode well either, does it?
Well, that's right. I mean, last week the Lib Dems and the Tories were calling for Mr Clancy to go. That's hardly surprising. They're the opposition. But for it to come from within his own Labour group, certainly some sections of his own Labour group anyway, that is very unusual. I mentioned that letter earlier, written by Councillor Barry Bowles, who represents Hall Green, a very impassioned letter to John Clancy. In it he says, I'm writing with a great deal of sadness. There's no malice here, John. I have no particular support for anyone who might want to replace you, but I do know that you are not the right person to take this city forward.
I'm not the barometer for this, but I need to be able to look my constituents in the face when I come out of the house. I need to tell them that I've got integrity, and I expect my group to have integrity, and I don't think we've shown that over the last few weeks.
Now, all this comes on the back of ACAS over the weekend taking the unusual step of confirming that there was agreement between the parties, which led to a pause in industrial action. The meeting tonight behind those doors, it could get pretty feisty.
For now, Andy, thank you very much.